What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode number 376 of the Action Movie Guys podcast. I'm your host, Nate, and my co-host is
Alex Figueroa.
And on this episode, we are going to be wrapping up the Monsterverse series of 5 movies. This one from 2024. This is the newest one, and we rarely get to do like brand new movies on this show. I feel like we're always at least a few years old, but hey, we did a franchise that's still going. And so a movie from, as of recording this, about 3.5 months ago, 2024, Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. Now, before we get into the financials and the box office, Alex, this is your first time watching this, correct?
Yes, first time watching.
Okay, so you did not go to the theater for this one. Did Angelina watch this one with you? Because I know you said she likes the monsters.
Yeah, we saw it together.
Okay,
yeah.
I saw this one at the theater. I bought the popcorn bucket. I have a review up. So if you want like a quick thoughts of it, go to our YouTube channel. I reviewed this. But we're going to get in depth here. We're going to talk. Alex never seen it. This is my second time watching it, which is rare for me to watch something twice within a 3-month span. But hey, I did it for the podcast. I refreshed my memory. Let's get into it now. Normally, when my episodes come up, we don't do box office, but because it's part of a franchise, we are going to give some numbers. So what did we have here as far as the budget and the box office on this one?
So this is interesting. I found a site that gave me the budget broken down into percentages to where goes what.
Oh, wow.
So this is going to be the first insight because, again, and this is, I can't do it to all the movies. This is the first time I've seen this before. So the movie cost supposedly $135 million to make.
So same as the last one.
Same thing as the last one, by $5 million more. It was 75% funded by Legendary, with Warner Brothers covering 25% of the budget. Now, take that with what you will, but if you look at those numbers, again, I really don't know, but Godzilla 2014 was 160, King of the Kong Skull Island was 185, King of the Monsters, Godzilla, was 170 to 200, and then this one was 135.
Well, that's pretty good. I mean, what was the box office? What did it make?
Oh, I'm sorry. That made $567 million. So it went up by 100 plus since the last film.
I believe this is the highest grossing of the...
Yes.
Or Skull Island was also very high, like in the 500s. Let's see. Skull Island made
$568 million.
By 1 million difference.
Yeah.
So this is the second by 1 million. Okay, but this had a lower budget, so it was actually more profitable because it cost $50 million less. So this is the most profitable in the franchise. This made the money that you thought from our last episode closer to the $600 million that the first Godzilla vs. Kong would have made. But you know what? I thought maybe now that people had seen it, thought it worked good, maybe they were more open to go check this one out. Also, this did not have any COVID restrictions. There was no streaming. It came out only in the theater. And it came out in March, which was a smart release. So a lot of good things there done. Now let's talk about this is interesting as far as the Rotten Tomato scores. Okay, you ready for this? Critics, last movie, 76%. This one is down 22%. This actually has a 54% critic score. So they did not like it as much. This is actually the second lowest in the franchise behind King of the Monsters. That's the lowest one. However, the audience score for this one is actually the exact same as Godzilla vs. Kong, a 91%. So the audience score for Godzilla versus Kong was 91 and Godzilla x Kong also 91. So no change, which is rare. We usually have at least 1 or 2% difference. Right. So these two crossover movies have the highest audience scores out of the whole franchise. What do you think of those numbers?
Honestly, I'm very shocked with the audience score. And not even joking around. I'm very shocked that it's a back-to-back 91. This one had a smaller cast than the last movie and then the prior to than the other movies. Like, this is the smallest cast right now.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of the universe. Very shocked. I'm not shocked with the critics. I am not. I knew it was going to take a dip. Like, even when you look at the movie, you could tell that the critics are not going to like it. Yeah. And looking at a 76 the first time around, and I believe that's because that's the first time Godzilla and Kong went on screen together. Other than that,
and you know, the audience score is funny, though, because it doesn't change, but this one made more money. So, I mean, it kind of tracks. You know, it would have been weird if this was like a 60% audience score, yet it made 100 million more. But it is rare to get it just the exact same number. It is.
I mean,
we do stuff.
But I remember when this came out, I remember, you know, when I edited your videos, and then a lot of people around me enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, the word of mouth for this movie, it was better than, well, I can't say better than Godzilla versus Kong, because
it was good. I think the cinema score for it was pretty good. Like people liked it when they walked out. So
yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it because this is your first time watching. This is my second time watching. Lead characters. Then we're doing the same thing on this part as far as we will score the humans, which, like you mentioned, a way smaller cast. Way smaller and way less famous people in it. And they probably saved a little bit of money there by not hiring as many famous people. And then the monsters, in this case, Godzilla and Kong. What did you think?
Okay, so the humans, I gave it a 2. And this is why. I think if it wasn't for Rebecca Hall and that girl, this movie would have been trash in the human department. I hate Bernie. He's back. I don't like that character at all. They try to change him up a little bit from that comical to a little bit more serious, but he was still annoying. Then they made another character, which is...
Dan Stevens plays him.
Yeah,
the veterinarian guy.
The veterinarian dude, yeah. Which I was just like, oh, another character that they throw in. I don't know. I just didn't. You know what it is with these movies? It just feels weird, right? He's a veterinarian, right? He takes the big tooth out and then he puts another tooth in. So I was like, okay, cool. But then all of a sudden he's in the Avenger, and then he's like the comical relief again, an action comical relief guy, which is funny because he looked like Ryan Gosling, which was weird. Right?
Yeah.
He had like that Fall Guy feel to that character.
Yeah,
which I was thinking,
a similar look.
Yeah, he did. I like Rebecca Hall in this movie. They literally changed that character. She was more of a mom role in this one, more serious. And I was like, okay, I can see where they're going. It's funny because that's the character Madison's dad is. Mm-hmm. If you noticed. Like, they just literally just took him out and just put her in it. I liked it. I did not like the girl, the one that could resurrect Mothra, which I was just like, this is so stupid now. I liked her as a character, but this goes in your coincidence folder of dumbness. And I think that is, that's lazy writing. And I didn't like that at all. A lot of deductions to the comedy and stuff, but I didn't care much for like that, those type of storylines. Yeah. So other than that, like the lead characters in this movie it was to me worse than the last movie, I feel, in terms of this one. I could be wrong. The monsters, I love them in this movie. I thought the monsters was good. The only nitpick I would have is Godzilla. I felt like he was different and very different and weird in terms of attitudes and stuff like that. But I do like, and I'm going to say this now, I did enjoy Godzilla using the Roman Coliseum as a cat bed. Yeah. I thought that is one of the most creative.
Where he takes a nap.
Yeah, where he takes a nap in the Coliseum. I thought that is one of the most creative because I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where would he sleep? And my wife was like, no freaking way. And we were like, this is an awesome, I mean, he destroys it, but it's an awesome thing that he goes there to sleep. Yeah. And it looks like a big ass cat. In yeah, he rolls up with his tail. I do like that part too. I thought that was cool. I thought that was pretty cool. But other than that, Khan was really good. I like he gets a little monkey sidekick.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. I thought the setup for it, we'll talk about on action scenes, but I thought that worked very well. Other than that, like I said, the difference with the Godzilla, it just felt very different from the last few movies. This one felt a little bit different, but I think it hinders because of the storyline, which we're going to get to. But I gave it a 5, so I rounded off 3.5. Yeah.
All right. I gave the humans a 3 because you hate that podcast guy, but I like him. So like, I liked him in the last movie too. So like, I didn't hate him as much. See, this has a smaller cast and I liked them all. Like I liked him, although I have an issue with him, but I'll save it for storyline. But just as the character himself, I liked him. Rebecca Hall, really good. I liked the relationship with her and the girl. Even at the end where she's like, you're going to stay here with your tribe. And the girl's like, no, I'm not. I'm going home. Like I helped. And I thought that was very sweet. I like that. And I like Dan Stevens in this. Like he's funny. He's this rock and roll veterinarian scientist guy. He's smart, because he went to college with Rebecca Hall. They had that little speech on the beach where, like they went to school together and stuff. So, but he was a fun character because unlike in the last movie, he doesn't you can believe he'd also be able, unlike Skarsgård. Remember you said that you hated that he knew how to fly the ship and do this and that. At least this guy, he can because he works for Monarch. He does all this stuff. I like the way the tooth part is actually, even though it's not action, I like the way it's done. I like when he goes zooming back up after he attaches the thing and he climbs. I thought it was all very well done. So I like the humans pretty good. I give him the same score as last movie, a 3. Monsters, again, a 5. I'll tell you why. Godzilla's in it a lot less than Kong. This is like a Kong movie. The title should have been Kong x Godzilla, A New Empire. Because the first one was Godzilla vs. Kong. This one they should have flipped it because Kong is in it way more and he has way more of a storyline. He's down there in Hollow Earth He can't like, you know, like he lost his home. He's sad at that one part where he's talking with the girl because it got all destroyed by those other apes that are like down below, like way down in the depths. He gets a sidekick. You know, like he moves the story along a lot more than Godzilla does. But why I still give it a 5, even with the, you know, with the less Godzilla, is because at least they found a way to upgrade him. He goes to fight that one dragon that has that radiation ice thing. You know, when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, why is he pink? But then it makes sense because that thing was pink. And then when he goes to its radiation source, it changes the color. So at least they explained it a little bit, you know, like they didn't just go, well, now he's pink. There was a reason for it. That was a cool fight too, by the way, where they're under the water and all of a sudden you just see all the chunks come up. It's like, nope, he chunked them up. So yeah, I gave the monsters a 5. I think all of these movies have done a great job at portraying the actual monsters of the Monsterverse. That's a 4 combined for me. 3.5 for you, 4 for me. All right, villain. Now here we get a main villain, and it's monsters only. No people. We got the Scar King, who's this. I like the way he stands. It's cool. This big ape with like a freaking whip thing.
A whip, yeah.
And then he controls this other like ice monster thing. So what did you think of them?
Okay. I gave him a 3.
Wow. Okay.
So this is why I gave him a 3. No creativity. That dude looked like Koba from Planet of the Apes. He looked like a big ass version of Koba. I was okay with the fight between him and Khan. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But then you had this Pokemon character that comes out that shoots ice and radiated ice or whatever the hell it is. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, so it controls the ice Pokemon. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. But other than that, like, yeah, he torments everybody. He's the big guy. But other than that, that's all he does. I mean, he goes after Khan and Khan runs and then he gets help, which is Godzilla. And then they go back together as Batman and Robin and fight them. So I was just like, okay, cool. But I wasn't too thrilled with the villain in this one. You know what it is? I guess I got so greedy with Rodan and King Ghidorah, whatever the hell the 3-headed dragon is. I wanted a bigger Titan. One that was bigger than those two. That they both had to join forces to fight. This one, honestly, I don't even think he needed Godzilla to beat this guy. But I understand why he did, because he had the ice guy and he needed the heat, Godzilla's radiation to beat him. But in reality, I don't think you're right. This is not a Godzilla versus Khan movie. This is not Godzilla whatever. This should have been called, I agree with you, it should have been just called Khan the New Empire. Mm-hmm. Featuring Godzilla. Yeah,
he's more of a featured
like that
player than like the main guy.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that because he's just Godzilla's going haywire. But in terms of the villain, I wasn't too thrilled with him. I did like the fight. I did like the whip. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, it was kind of weird. Like throughout the whole fighting with the whip, he never dropped it. Like even when he's getting smacked all over the place, I was like, "What is it glued to his damn hand? Like just drop it once or twice." I mean, I guess that's like the big moment in the movie, but I didn't feel it as much, so I gave him a 3 though. He was good.
Oof, okay, that's fair. I loved him. I love the villains in this movie. I give him a 5. For me, you got to be formidable. They are. Kong fights him. I love I like the way he looks. First of all, I like that he looks different than Kong because he's slender. He has really long arms. I like the way he stands. He stands like this, like he's like leaning at him. I like when he laughs at him, when he sees his metal tooth. He's like, oh, this guy, look at him. He's like, what is this guy? Yeah, he controls the Shimu is his name, the ice one, with this like gem or whatever. It's a very WWE, this bad guy, which I like wrestling. So he's like a, he can't win clean. He's beating Kong. Then Kong gets him and he's like, oh shoot. And he holds up his little gem. And now he got to get his backup because he can't do it by himself. You know what I mean? That other thing is cool. Freezes Kong's arm, causes him to have to get a robotic upgrade because he's got frostbite. So they're formidable. He did need Godzilla's help. And even then, you know what? Shimu, they don't kill it. It's too tough. Even in the fight, Godzilla hits it with the laser and it knocks him over, but he never died. Remember, whatever it is, lives at the end and ends up going back to the Hollow Earth. And so they couldn't kill that thing. And they did kill the Scar King, which was cool. So I like the whip. None of the other ones have a weapon. This thing literally has a weapon. It's the spine of something. I don't know what, some other big thing. And he has a colony of like workers that like do all his bidding. He's clearly the dad of all the children because they're all orange and he's the only orange one. So that little one got to be his son. And when he kicked his mom into the lava, I felt bad. Like the way they made that little monkey look, he's like, oh, my mom. Like, I was like, dang, that's jacked up. So he's jacked up. I gave him a 5. I liked him. All right, action.
5. This one had great, it's not better than the last one at all. I don't think it's better than the last one. I saw it's funny. I saw the clips before where you saw him doing the suplex, and I was like, all right. I was like, all right, it's cool. It is what it is. But I feel like the last one has way better between the two. Like between the two, I thought it was better. In terms of the overall, I thought the last one had a better, fight. But this one, I did like Khan fighting more than Godzilla for some reason. I like when he fought the Scar King. I thought that was a really cool thing. I liked when he was going there, when the little freaking sidekick was taking him through the thing and he tried to trick him with the water thing.
Yeah, he's like,
he threw that. Yeah. And next thing you know, then next thing you know, he kills it. You see the head fall. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. He gave him food. He knew he tricked him, but he was like, it is what it is. Like I said, I thought overall, it was great action. You got your money's worth in this movie in terms of action. I wasn't crazy with the tech. Again, these movies, when you throw tech into a character now, it just takes away from me. It just takes everything away. Because then it's just like, oh, here we go now. Now they developing weapons now for Khan. And it's like, oh, they're going to develop something for Godzilla. I mean, unless he allows them to put it on him. But I understood why they did what they did for this movie.
Yeah.
He got the frostbite. They gave him the Iron Man glove.
Project Powerhouse.
Yeah, the powerhouse, thing. I understand it. For me, I don't like it as much because now you're pushing this into an area of filmmaking or movie telling that now is just taking fantasy, now is becoming sci-fi fantasy. It's like, okay, now you're going to be doing that more crazy shit that you're going to now take Godzilla and come to outer space to fight some Titan in space or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it just starts to, I don't know, I just feel like it's just layer of ridiculousness throughout different movies that we're getting.
Yeah.
And then there's more crazy technology in this movie too, which I was just like, holy hell. But filmmakers made the decision. I like the technology in the last movie, but this one is elevated and more. Again, people could like it. I enjoyed it for what it was, the glove. They had a sense of purpose why they gave it to him. They just didn't go, we're going to give him a powerhouse so he could become really good. Yeah. They gave him a sense of why he needed it. To me, I just feel like it just pushes the story to the next, where I didn't want it to go, but they went where they wanted to go with it. So anyway, I gave it a 5, but I thought it was cool with him in the glove. I'm not going to lie.
It was basically like brass knuckles for Kong. I mean, they had to put it because of the frostbite, but if they didn't, if he didn't have frostbite, it would just been like a brass knuckles. 5 for me. Again, Wingard nails it as far as the scale. This has a lot of action. You got Godzilla fighting that dragon monster under the water, which I don't like underwater fights, but that one was okay because it was like, there's like still like laser breath and all this kind of stuff. And they were moving fast. They weren't going like, which I hate. I like the first fight with Kong and the Scar King. I agree. I like the first fight where those monkeys like jump him, like where there's like the gang of them and he's like fighting them off and he takes the little one and starts smacking them.
That was the best scene.
Oh my gosh. That was so funny. He freaking picks up the little one and just starts using him like a little baseball bat. Boom, boom, flinging him everywhere. And then that last one's running away. He throws the rock like a baseball, just hits him in the back of the head. Love it. I enjoy, this has one of the best shots in my opinion. I don't care. That shot where he jumps onto the side of Godzilla and he's like hanging on to him. And then they all jump into the middle and it gives you like each of their face and then it pulls out and it just shows them all four going at each other. Love it. I get that is if you pause it and just look at that shot, you could put that up like on a wall, like on an artwork. It looks great. So Wingard nailed that again. I like the zero gravity part where they're on the rocks and they're like maneuvering between the stones and the little one's like throwing rocks at them and stuff. Clever. Because you got to do something different. You can't just keep doing big monster punches, big monster. It's still cool, but you got to change it up. So I like all that. Then they go to Rio. I love the intro scene to the Rio part. Great camera work with the wave freezing. The wave turns to ice and then the camera pulls out and it kind of does like a 360. Like the camera flips and there's a great shot. And then the Rio fight, it's similar to the last movie, except it's in the daytime and in Rio instead of Hong Kong. So you get a lot of destruction, a lot of buildings just getting absolutely wrecked. So yeah, 5. I mean, what am I going to give this? It has a ton of action. It's all in the second half. Oh, and Mothra. I think Mothra looks way better in this than she did in King of the Monsters. She looks like a moth now.
She does. And she looked bigger to scale. Yeah. Like the last one didn't. She looked like a bug. Said
she looked like she got like shrunken or something. It's better in this movie.
I agree.
Yeah. So that was cool. Mothra was cool. Okay. So 5 and a 5. Okay. Storyline.
Oh, I did not like this story. This story's not good. I can't wait to hear what you say because I already know you might be in the 3 on up department. Actually, I don't think you're going to give it a 4. I think you're going to stay in the 3 or 3.5. One of those two, I think you're going to give it. I am not into this. This story is horrible. I'm going to be honest. It got worse than the last movie. It was weird. So I hated the storyline with the girl and Mothra. I did not like that at all. I did enjoy the underground civilization that she was a part of. I thought it was cool. I thought it was clever. The Iwi. Yeah. First of all, they should just call them Wakanda because that shit, they had technology there, which I was like, how the hell did they get technology down here? That annoyed me because now, again, where I said it goes into an area of now disbelief, not even, it just starts to go to some weird shit. So now you're telling me you have a civilization on hollow ground that has technology far more superior than where they have now camouflage walls made by Mothra's webbing. Now, I was just like, okay, whatever. So to me, I just was like, this is so far-fetched. Then you have technology in this movie that's so crazy advanced, which they're not even explaining how the hell did they get these things. Like this crazy advance in technology, it just happens in these movies. To me, it's just like, it's so weird. Khan's storyline, I did enjoy a lot. I thought it was really good, but you really did not need Godzilla in this movie. I didn't mind him like Godzilla. If Godzilla wasn't in this movie, he's like, shit, I gotta go get him to help. I would have been, that's pretty cool. Like he ends up at freaking the Romans at his bedside going, dude, you gotta get up. And then they start fighting or whatever. Because Godzilla always sees red. Like he doesn't even question or nothing. He just runs at him.
His hands like, he's telling him like, I don't want to fight you. And he just keeps running at him anyway.
So to me, I'm just like, cool. And then Mothra, they again, another coincidence that they need Mothra to control Godzilla so they don't fight each other, and then you got the Scar King, which I kind of like. I liked him as a character, but I just felt like there's so much storylines here, right? You have the girl, doesn't know she's going to come back. She's having visions now. She has visions of all this stuff. And I'm just like, this is way too much. Way too much. And I know you like to say convoluted and all this stuff. I just feel like there's way too much in this movie that it needs to. Yeah. Whereas the other one was kind of simple, right? Mega Godzilla comes out. There was one purpose. Godzilla goes crazy and they all have to fight each other and then whatever. This one was way too much for me. I gave it a 2. I just felt like this was just way too much. It did not need all this stuff. Well, but I just want to hear where you go.
I think I did say this in my review too. This is the stupidest one by far. This movie's stupid. It is dumb. I gave it a 2 as well.
Okay.
I like this movie. I don't like the story of this movie. I'll tell you why. A lot of what you just said, I agree with. But the main problem I had with it, I like the podcast guy. I hate that he's now a genius and he can understand how all of their technology works without them talking any words. He's like, they put the chemical reaction into the thing. It makes a compound of metal and then it makes the gravity. I'm like, how do you know that? How do you know that? Like, what would, and how does she not know it? How does Rebecca Hall, she says she has 2 PhDs earlier in the movie. She works for Monarch. She don't know that. But this guy, who I'm cool with him being like conspiracy theory guy, knowing, behind the scene, he worked at Apex, he infiltrated, he worked at Apex. But even then, in Godzilla vs. Kong, he's like, there was some sort of thing, that red ball. He didn't know what it was. But you're telling me he goes to this ancient civilization in the middle of the earth and he understands their liquid compounds and their anti-gravity and he can figure it out like this? I don't like that. That's why I was like, nope, this is stupid. Yeah, this has the most amount of gobbledygook out of all the movies. It's like mumbo jumbo, any word you could think of where it's just where they say a bunch of science stuff and we're just supposed to go with it. And I don't like that. So I actually don't like the storyline that much in this movie. I like the monster aspect of it. Like, deep in the earth, Godzilla locked up this guy because he was formidable. And he's like, you know what? You got it. You're banned. And now he wants to get out and get revenge. I actually like that. It's the people stuff that I don't like. And there's less people and somehow more stupid storyline for the people. So it definitely takes away. I agree with you. So yeah, I gave it a 2 as well. The only aspect of this movie I don't like is all that science mumbo jumbo. Yeah. And I remember when I was watching it, I started remembering, I was like, oh, wait a second. They're about to get this part where they pour their red stuff in the water and all of a sudden it turns into like liquid metal. And then the crystals come together and then it makes the gravity go away. And he's like, but only for a few minutes. How do you know that? Like, how do you know any of that? And that's what ticked me off. So yeah, it's very dumb. This is a very dumb movie for sure. Not that the other ones are like, we're not talking about Shakespeare here, but this one's even dumber. Okay, overall,
I gave it a 2.
Oh, yeah.
I was not into this movie at all. I did not like it as much. I prefer Godzilla vs. Kong over this one. I enjoyed it for continuing the story. Yes, you get to see more Godzilla. Yes, you get to see more Kong. But in terms of a story, I did not like it at all. I thought it was boring at times. The fight saved it for what it is. But I think is again, for me, the villain was not the highlight for me. Like if you go to anyone and go, out of all these movies, what are the top villains or whatever? This dude is not even going to be up there. You're going to have King Ghidorah. Whatever his name is, the 3-headed dragon is going to be one of them. You're going to have Mega Godzilla is going to be the other. Then you're going to say Kong versus Godzilla is going to be somewhere top 3. Then I guess this Koba wannabe, then he'll be top 4 or 5. So like for me, it's just, I guess it's just so much not in this movie for me to enjoy as like I would have liked. Like I like, for the shit that I gave Godzilla vs. Kong, but I really enjoyed that movie for what it was. Like the fights are just really good. You're like, oh shit. This one, I can see why everyone liked it because the fights are really good.
Yeah.
I always like story more than action when it comes to these fantasy type movies because I like to enjoy what I'm watching. Like I'm like, wow, this is a cool storyline. How did they come up with this stuff like this? Like you said, when you give me gobbledygook, I'm just like, this is just a waste of film for me. I know myself, I'm not going to see this movie ever again. Maybe if I do a watch through like this, I'll go, sure. But I know I'm not going to go, I want to put on New Empire. It's not a good movie. For me, it's not a good movie at all. So I give it a 2 for decent.
I like this movie. I like it a lot. I hear what you're saying, but I liked it. This was easily one of the best times I've had at the theater this year so far.
Cool.
I saw it in IMAX, a blast. I had a good time because watching these big things do all this stuff on IMAX was awesome. But even rewatching it, I enjoyed it. A lot of the stuff, like how you feel about Godzilla vs. Kong, I feel more towards this one. Yeah, it is stupider than that movie in the story department, but visually, I like this one better. And that one has some great visuals, but this one I did like a little bit better. This one has better music, has a really good soundtrack. The score is cool, it has like a lot of 80s synth vibes to it. So you're splitting hairs here where you're talking about their movies are so similar. Like they're like, it becomes like little things like that. Like, okay, and actually, if you're just talking about score, like King of the Monsters probably has the best score because they actually factored in the Godzilla score into it. But the rest of the movie is like, So, it's like you kind of have to almost nitpick things you like better from each one because they're, at the end of the day, they're big monsters fighting big monsters with little ant people running around getting squished. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I can definitely see your score. I was surprised with the 91% audience score because I knew this was successful, but I didn't know that many people liked it that much because a lot of people I talked to didn't like it as much as me. So while I'm glad it got 91 because I enjoyed it, even in our group chat, like I know a couple of people didn't like it as much. I thought it was a really blast. I gave it a 4, and it's purely like a personal enjoyment score because it's a popcorn movie. But I just love seeing big monsters fight. I like the different locations. I like the little monkey. Honestly, he added a lot for me. I like him as a little sidekick for Kong. You got to try some new things. And I think they tried some new things. Some worked, some didn't. But anyway, a 4 for me, a 2 for you. What's your total points?
This has to be the lowest one besides 98, but I don't consider that part of this entire thing. This has to be the lowest one. It's 15.5.
15.5. Yeah, I think
that's 15.5. But I agree with you. You do have to add new stuff. I just felt like I wish we got new stuff that made more sense. Like, I guess that's just me, but I did enjoy the little apes. Like, I enjoyed the con section of the film. Yeah. I just felt like I wish they did more of that, but made it more serious. Like, I don't know. You know what it is, man? I think I got so spoiled with Kong Skull Island.
Yeah.
That I wish they did this one with that storyline of him finding the other apes and then, the skull face guy and, they fight that. But I wish it was in that universe.
Yeah.
Because I felt like that movie grounded the Kong. Like, it made it feel cool because I felt like I was in the jungle. Mm. This one, I just felt like they mushed both worlds of Godzilla and Kong. So for me, it just, I don't know. I just wish you're right. I wish this was a Kong movie of a sequel. They just featured Godzilla. Because I think the crowd would have went nuts. Mm. If you did not know, like if you didn't show no trailer with Godzilla in it and he gets hit with the blast and he's running, he's like, and then all of a sudden, she gets the Mothra and then Mothra is going to him. And then he's like, all right, fine, you got to get Godzilla. Then I think the crowd would have ate it up.
Cool.
Like, oh shit.
Yeah. It might not have gotten as much money because of the marketing, But it would have been a cool reveal if he goes up, he's like, dang it, there's 2 of these things, I need help. Let me go get Godzilla. And all of a sudden Godzilla comes up, the crowd would have popped probably.
Yeah, and it would have, I think, Nate, you're right. It would have not did well in the marketing department, but word of mouth, you would have got more people into the theater going, yo, Godzilla came out of this movie, to help.
Yeah.
And it would have been cool because then you would have had that segment of Godzilla fighting other Titans to get stronger to help Khan. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was, I agree with you. That whole scene of him turning pink, which I thought the color looked weird, but I now understanding that he absorbed that to become 10 times more stronger to help because he knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a really cool way of this movie if that was the surprise of Godzilla going, oh, I'm going to have to beef up first. And then you see them, him going to wherever at Arctic to fight that Titan. So anyway, that's just me. But yeah, I give it a 15.5.
All right, 15.5. I give it a 20 out of a 25. I like this movie. It's a good time. This is like, I still like Godzilla and Kong Skull Island because they're more grounded. However, I do like some stupid dumb action. Like, I'm a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. So as long as there's other factors that entertain me, this has them. This has the other factors. So I like this movie a lot. I liked it better than Godzilla vs. Kong, watching them back to back. Like, I found this one a little more fun. Maybe because there's less characters. The other one is just too many people talking about also dumb stuff. But the story was a little better overall. I definitely like it better than King of the Monsters, though. That movie's just okay to me. It's the worst one. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see where they go from here. I don't know if they separate them, if they just do another straight Godzilla movie or a straight Kong movie, or if they're just permanently stuck together now. But I know Adam Wingard dropped out from directing the next one. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because he's doing another movie and the schedule didn't work. I would like to see him back. I think he does a great job with the scale. But there was 4 different directors and they all did their own thing. So, I mean, if someone comes in with a good idea, I wouldn't mind seeing one of them come back either.
I would like to see Garth Edwards come back with both.
Oh, from the first Godzilla?
To see if he grounds the movie from that futuristic, make it more like a Aliens type. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
his
more
movies
serious.
are all serious. Like Rogue One is taken seriously. The creators taken, like, he's not that guy. He does spectacle, but like grounded. So
if he could, just think what I'm thinking here. Let's say he takes the next movie and he makes it like Aliens 2, but with Godzilla and Khan versus, not even versus. It could just be a storyline, but it's more serious, more whatever. Because there's a shot that this guy did in this new movie. I forgot to talk about that. Was really dope. Is when the Scar King comes out for the first time and you see all the peoples as ants when he's getting up. I say, yo, this shit is dope.
And then he roars at them down there like super tiny.
Yeah, I think it's one of, because we really never get to see the scale, because once you see it from us going up and you see Godzilla's big ass foot, you're like, holy crap. Or you see Khan 300, 500 foot. You never get to see it from the perspective of the big monsters looking down on everybody like ants. And that scene to me was like, damn.
That's what I mean. He does a great job with the scale. He lets you know how big these things are.
Now I'm really looking forward to seeing Garth Edwards' Jurassic Park, because...
Oh, I'm so nervous about it. I'm so nervous.
It has your girl, though. It has your girl, Scarlett Johansson.
And I love her. And I like him. I like him as a director. I've liked all 4 of his films. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but it's just, it's my favorite movie of all time. And I don't like any of the sequels as much. Like none of them. I don't even think it's a good franchise. I just think it's a great movie with some sequels. So I'm better him than some other people. I'll say that.
I'm really looking forward to it because I do enjoy all his movies.
Yeah. I think it'll be serious at least.
Yeah. I think he's going to do it. He's going to ground more. I think this is going to be more of a human movie. I think more human emotions.
I want to see what he does with that T-Rex, though. I want to see what he does with that
T-Rex. I think it's going to be like what we're getting with Aliens Romulus. Yeah. Like how that looks. I mean, that looks amazing. I saw some new trailers on that during the Copa America. Oh my God. I'm like,
I will say, I think if he takes the approach, and I'd be okay with it at this point, even if he did like what he did with Godzilla, where it's a little more Jaws-y, where it's just not like 80% of the time there's dinosaurs on screen, I'd be okay with it if the characters are interesting and the dinosaurs are scary. But fine, make them only pop out here and there. We have seen 6 movies where they're on screen a lot. It doesn't have to be. So I'm optimistic. But anyway, all right. As far as what we got coming up, all right, we're going Star Wars. We're gonna have people coming after us. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe yes. Star Wars, the sequel trilogy, kicking it off with The Force Awakens, and it's still July, so you know what that means. More monster movies. This time we are going to go with a little Guillermo del Toro, one of my favorite directors of all time. A little movie called Pacific Rim. So we're going to be doing some Force Awakens, some Pacific Rim. That's going to be our next two movies.
Well, I haven't seen that movie in ages.
I saw Pacific Rim in IMAX. I stood up and clapped. It's been a long time since I watched it, but I remember I was seeing it with my boys, and I was just like,
oh,
at one certain part, and then I sat down.
You guys want to follow us in our social media accounts? Please follow Nate over on Instagram at Netflix Reviews. Check out the podcast with him and his friends called Netflix Movie Reviews. Anything AMG Podcast. We are now on YouTube. You guys can follow us at Action Movie Guys. All our archives are there for you. So every time I upload, it goes right to our YouTube channel. You could also take us on the go with YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, anywhere you listen to your podcasts on. With that said, he is your host,
Nate from Netflix Reviews.
I'm his co-host, Alex Figueroa. Be awesome to each other and geek out.